Hey everyone, and welcome back to Paranormal Axetvities. There's a certain attraction of the woods that's always intrigued me. Venturing into nature offers an exciting, healthy, and natural experience. As a kid, my neighborhood friends and I would frequently explore the local woods behind my house, utilizing an old converted train tracks as our pathway. And also on this pathway was an old abandoned train station that had all kinds of stuff inside of it. I wish I would have explored it more and maybe kept some stuff, but it was on private property and that would have been illegal. So I did not do that, but I did often rummage through that area, much to the dismay of the people who owned the property. But I digress. As I grew older, this same path became my preferred jogging route during my high school years, and currently I reside near the Great Miami Trail, which is where I have spent numerous hours running and this past year mostly biking. However, as daylight succumbs to dusk, the atmosphere does change. So, like I said, the Great Miami River is where I frequent, riding my bike generally from the Franklin area to Dayton. If you guys are familiar with Dayton, the Caroline Park, I will ride my bike from Franklin to Caroline Park and then back for a total of 28 miles both ways. That's together. Say whatever that math is, divide by 2, that's one way. So before I get into my particular story from this trail, let's hear some information and history of this historic trail. The Great Miami River is a tributary of the Ohio River that runs through southwestern Ohio and Indiana. The river is named after the Miami Native American people who lived in the area. The Great Miami River starts at Indian Lake in Logan County, Ohio, and ends in the Ohio River just west of Cincinnati, Ohio. And this is something I recently learned. I didn't know exactly where it started from. Indian Lake is not far from where I grew up, and I've camped out there a couple of times. And the last time I camped out there would have been the summer of 2018. Nothing happened ghostly. I was out there with a bunch of my buddies right before I got married. But one of the nights, I think the second night I was there, I believe it was 2 nights, I just had a really weird, heavy feeling while I was there. Nothing haunted, but it was just creepy. I don't know why, and it still stands out in my brain. So there is that. Not really a ghost story, but I don't know. The river's weird. The Great Miami River is 170 miles long, and it passes through the cities of Sydney, Piqua, Troy, Dayton, Middletown, and Hamilton, and Franklin, which is where I currently reside. And the river's main tributaries are the Mad, Stillwater, and Whitewater rivers. And the Great Miami River is the first national water trail in Ohio, as apparently we are home to the nation's largest paved trail network. And I believe the trail is right around 90 miles long. I had that written down, and now it's gone. So the river itself is 170 miles long, but the trail that I'm referring to runs from, I believe, Hamilton through Piqua, and then I believe it's kind of parts off. And then there's a smaller part of the trail in Sydney, if I remember correctly. But I've never made it up that far yet. I've only gone from south to north, like I mentioned, Franklin to Caroline Park and Dayton and back. So I did do some research on this river, trying to find other ghost stories, as I would assume, being how old this river is and the history behind it and how often people use it for biking, walking, running, whatever they're doing out there, fishing. See a lot of fishermen out there. I would assume there would be other stories, but I had a hard time finding them. There is some stories from down in Hamilton, but not really stories as just history of a town down there, but nothing really to do with this trail. There is a ghost town just north of Dayton that the river or the trail runs through, but again, really no ghost stories about that, just the history of it there. And as this is a paranormal podcast, I was a little disappointed in that. But the reason that I am doing this episode is because I had an experience there not that long ago. It may be nothing. I will let you guys decide, as it probably is nothing. But it was weird to me, and it just got weirder as the next day happened. So here is my experience of the Great Miami Trail. So just before if you guys are familiar with West Carrollton, the trail does go through West Carrollton, and in West Carrollton there is a dam that the trail goes by, and I often like to stop by and hang out by the dam. Fishermen use it a lot, and it's there's a parking lot there, so it is more of a populated area on the trail. Basically, Franklin is populated, and then that goes to Miamisburg, which is also populated with a parking lot, and then from Miamisburg to West Carrollton in the middle, you don't get a lot of walkers or a lot of runners because it is a long way from parking lot to parking lot. So I'll see a lot of bikers in that area, but not a lot of runners or walkers. So just before the West Carrollton Dam, there is a path with some houses on it as well. So you go by a cemetery, and then it's kind of a long stretch. There's a park, and then you go by a farm, and then from the farm to the dam, it's just woods. And then you come out, and then there's a little airport there. So as I turn the corner that goes towards the West Carrollton Dam, I see a girl in a long yellow sundress with long black hair. It was a little bit colder out this day. I've got into cold weather riding, so I bought all the gear and stuff, so I can ride in basically 0-degree temperatures if I so choose, which I did once, and it was great. This wasn't that cold of a day. It was a little bit warmer, but still, it was late fall, early winter, and I thought it was odd to see a girl in a yellow sundress walking this trail, especially at this spot, because it wasn't super close to a parking lot. So I'm not sure, where she would have started from. Probably the dam, I guess. Maybe she's parked at the dam and then walked down and then came back. But we'll get to that. So as I go across this, I try to make this corner, and I see this woman in a long yellow sundress with long black hair. She is standing sideways on the trail, looking west towards where the houses are. So as I turn this corner, she is not walking. She is standing and looking west, which would have been looking to my left. As I approach on my bike, she turns and looks at me. I was a little bit far away, and I wasn't wearing my glasses, to be fair. I'm wearing sunglasses, which are not prescription. But as I saw her look at me, it was just a blur. I didn't see facial distinctions. And usually I feel like at this distance, I would still see a face. But in my point of view, I just saw a blank spot where her normal face would be. She then slowly turned and began walking forward, now with her back towards me. So I was like, that's kind of odd. And as I went to pass her, I noticed her ankles were pasty white and she wasn't carrying anything. Generally, if you're walking on the trail, you would have, if you don't have pockets, which the sundress I don't think did, we would see phone, water, whatever. But she was carrying nothing and did not appear to have any pockets. But again, I didn't examine her dress, I guess. I attempted to casually glance at her as I passed to see her face, but her hair was long and covered as I passed her side, so I couldn't really get a good look, and I didn't want to turn all the way around and make it awkward. So as I got towards the dam, there is now a street where I slowed down and just to make sure there's no cars coming in. So it's a pretty low trafficked area, as it's just a city building there, so really you don't get any big cars coming through there. But I stopped there and thought this would be a good time to turn around to see if she's still there. It's a pretty long distance. I'm not sure how many yards or whatever, but it's a pretty long distance from where I saw her to where the street is, but it's a straight shot. So I turned around just to because I was still feeling kind of uneasy about her presence. So I turned around, and just like in the movies, she was not there. Even if she turned around and walked towards the curve where I first approached her, I don't think there would have been enough time for her to get there unless she ran really, really fast, because I bike pretty quickly. So I finished the ride. I went to where I usually go, and then I turned back and came back around, and I did not see her on my way back. And just a note, it was 12:53 p.m. when I stopped and turned back around to look at her. So it wasn't at night, it wasn't at dusk. It was in the middle of the day. Sun was out. It was a little bit colder outside. She's wearing a yellow sundress. I did not see her face, and she appeared to have disappeared, if that makes sense. So that left me with an uneasy feeling. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out there again tomorrow, which I did, and bring my voice recorder, and then stop at this area where I saw her and just, do a quick little, maybe ghost hunt and see if I pick up anything. So I geared up, went out the next day at the same time, and I decided, and I brought the voice recorder, and I was on my way to that location, which that spot is about 7 miles away from where I start. And when I got 5 miles out, so approximately 2 miles from where the location is, randomly, my right bike pedal broke. A metal bolt inside of it went right through the plastic, and it just basically fucked up my whole pedal. And at the same time, not only did my pedal break, a bunch of screws were super loose on my gears, causing my gears not to work properly, so I was using a lot of effort just to pedal a little bit, now on a broken pedal. So at the same time, my gears got jacked up, and my right pedal broke, which I didn't even think was a thing, nor has it ever happened to me in the past. So with all of that happening, I was forced to turn around and slowly and carefully ride back to my car. And it took me a very long time to get there for my usual thing. And that's it. I have since gone back out. I fixed my bike, got new pedals, tightened the gears, and made sure that they continue to stay tightened. And that's it. I've never seen that person again. I generally do go out around the same time every day when I have the opportunity to, and I will see a lot of the same people when I'm out there because everybody has their routines. I've never seen this person again, and I still get a weird, eerie feeling when I go through that area, which, to be fair, I've gotten that feeling before that in this particular area. It's past a cemetery, before the dam. It's just a wooded area. You just see trees on both sides. And it's just it's a darker area. I mean, obviously because there's trees there, so it's literally darker, but also it just feels a little bit heavy there for whatever reason. One time I was out there on a 0-degree day, and I did see a falcon just hanging out in that same area on a tree. He was on a super low branch. I just kind of rode under him, and he stared at me as I stared at him, and I thought that was kind of cool. And it was in the same area. So I don't know. You guys tell me. Was it just a girl walking, and I'm just making shit up and exaggerating it, and maybe she'll hear this episode and be like, bro, that was me. What are you talking about? Or is it possible, maybe there is something going on in this trail, and I have never seen a solidified ghost, I guess I should say. Usually the things that I have seen have been very stereotypical. You can see through them. It's hard to distinguish, shadow people, that kind of stuff. So I've never have thought that I've seen a full apparition, if that makes sense. But maybe this time I did. So that's all I have for this episode. Again, I was kind of disappointed that I couldn't find more paranormal stories of the Great Miami Trail. I'm sure there are some out there from how often this trail is frequented. So guys, if you have walked, biked, ran on this trail, and you have seen something, please let me know. You can hit me up at paranormalaxepodcast@gmail.com. You can also find me on social media at Paranormal Activities. I'm on the Facebook, and X is what it's called now. So, yep, that's all I have. Hope you all enjoyed this short episode of Paranormal Activities, and let's keep investigating the paranormal together.